folks, we're going to do a little cold open. We haven't done one of those in a while. And what we're going to do, we're going to have a little mini posting update. We don't have a good topic for a whole posting episode, but there's just a funny thing that we want to document, because it's one of those posts that you're going to forget, but like you shouldn't.
No larger theme here. Gawk at the freaks. And then go about your life.
This is, we're recording this on August 5th, 2021. And on this date, every weird lefty Twitter addict is hooting at this post like it's the big 2001 obelisk.
Yeah, everybody is grunting in unison. It's really nice. And what is the thing they're looking at? It's a post by Tom. We have to remember these things. We've been charged with this task. And can you tell us a little bit about this person? Because you remembered something about her that I forgot.
Yeah, this is Grandma Killer. Her real name is Bethany Mandel, but I call her Grandma Killer.
Yeah.
I don't do this to zing her or to razz her or out of meanness. This isn't a cruel nickname I've devised. It's because she had a very famous post early in the pandemic where she was very sad that lockdown was happening. She thought that there shouldn't be lockdown ever for any reason. And she opened a post with the sentence, "You can call me Grandma Killer." So I took her at her word and have been.
There was no termination clause on that rename, so I assume it is indefinite. Anyway, she's back at it, not to kill grandmothers, but this time to be like, this is a problem that we all relate to, right? And the entire internet being like, what the fuck?
So she posts, the original post is, "How strange is it that progressives see scaring their children into wearing dirty, bacteria-filled cloth on their faces for 8 to 9 hours a day without complaint as evidence of their amazing parenting?" Which I guess she's implying, like, any parent who makes their child wear a mask is actually hurting them because the mask is gross, I guess. Someone responds saying, "We have multiple masks that we frequently wash. Our kids don't wear the same mask every day."
Yeah, this is good when there's, like, she opens with a cultural critique, right? And the immediate response is like, oh, there's a logistical issue here we can work out together. which is very fun.
The thing is, she responds to this guy, so she probably almost certainly knows them and, like, considers them, like, an ally. Because she, like, wouldn't reply to, like, Lib Crusher or what have you, or fucking Krang T. Nelson when they reply to her posts. She would reply to someone she knows. So this is someone who she thinks, like, I'm going to set him straight. All I need to do is give him this extra context, and he'll know what I meant. And the extra context is a post that says, "The mask is like this after one day. Joe, please describe what the images attached look like."
Her children are the Marlboro babies. I don't know what else to say. It looks like a dirty coffee filter. It's gross. Everyone is correctly being like, actually, a lot of people are reacting with disgust. It's kind of fun because a lot of people aren't reading that it's her kid's mask. A lot of people are just like, wow, lady, you got fucked up air coming out of your head, which is also fun. But so this is something that raises more questions because it looks like it's being used as a diaper. Like, this is a diaper mask. And it's their only one.
Yeah, it's the only one they have. It's a standard blue paper mask, and I don't know if you've worn a standard blue paper mask, listener, but what you do generally is breathe air through it. And I don't want to speak for you, but I don't. Usually, people don't have, like, the air they breathe tinged a color, and it certainly usually isn't the color of, like, rot. It's not like decay brown.
Her family suffers from the blight status effect. It is, like, tied to their bloodline.
Yeah, though they have toxic, and they eat purple moss clumps all day long, not realizing that only cures the poison status effect and not the toxic status effect. They need a blooming purple moss clump for that, but these idiots. It's just a disgusting thing to see. These masks are fucked.
Yeah, this ramped up pretty quick. The picture was revealed, and I feel like that's all my timeline was everyone being like, fuck. Check out the freak.
And yeah, there's no analysis beyond that. It's just that, like, this is a funny thing that we are now going ook at, and you need to remember it. You need to know that Bethany Mandel is the grandma killer, and she wrote the article that says that we have to become friends with neo-Nazis, and her children breathe brown air. Like, you need to know this because, like, she's gonna be back in the news again trying to be taken seriously, and you need to be ready to know that she's a fucking grandma killer clown.
Yeah, when you see her on TV, you need to say that lower third needs to say grandma killer and not her title.
Exactly. We mentioned in the 2-minute episode that all this shit is not remembered for you. You have to remember who the freaks are. Well, we're helping. This is our little service for you.
Yeah. Her kids have ripped to the kids.
Yeah, then they fucking breathe this shit out. They're not lasting very long. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses, and the only podcast, where we look at the 4 pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I'm Tom, an anime sicko.
I'm Joe, an anime sicko.
Joe, I would like to, for a while, reflect on one of the great strengths of this podcast is that we have a lot of flexibility in our topics, and when we choose our topics, we so often pick original, ambitious ideas that people really resonate with as we distill and articulate something unsaid but understood about what it means to live in this world so full of contradictions.
Yeah, and as we make this sort of meaning, as we are meaning makers, it's important that we always pick topics that are like important but accessible.
Yeah, wide appeal.
Which is why, like 2 weeks ago, we just only talked about the nuances of deck building, a genre no one fucking cares about except us. The other thing about deck building, which I didn't say on that episode, is that it's the most early access genre there is, I think. It used to be like the Minecraft clones, but now everything is a fucking deck builder that doesn't work.
It's true. All of which is to say, this episode's all about light guns.
Yeah. It is about light guns. There's 2 reasons this episode is happening. The first is we're obviously like idiots, but it's important to me that we have these episodes like the deck building episode where people have to understand that we actually have deep, powerful analytical minds that can never be used for our jobs.
Yeah, they can only be used on stupid shit. Our brains are extremely powerful, a very high caliber rounds in them, but we always shoot wide.
When you pick up a fucked up Borderlands gun and you see the damage and you're like, this is going to be great. And you shoot it and it just shoots you in the foot. That's what we are.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we're going to fucking talk about light guns. An entire podcast episode about light guns. You know the ones, like the NES Zapper. You shoot them at a screen, it goes blammo, and then that's how you play the video game. It kicks ass. And Joe, here's the thing about light guns, before we get into any specifics, just on a big macro level, from a bird's eye view. The thing about guns, light guns and guns in general, is that, like, they're very similar to cigarettes in that they are the coolest and
They're
most
so
badass
cool.
things. Just objectively, like, the most cool thing to have and use. But also, like cigarettes, it sure is a shame that they're not fictional.
Yeah. Cigarettes are so cool. Guns too.
Like, man, I'm just thinking about, like, what if Goku had a cigarette and a gun? I'm just seeing a panel now.
There are absolutely Spanish knockoff Dragon Ball shirts where he at the very least has like a cigar.
Yeah. Cigarilla, Swisher Sweet, or what have you. Yeah, I mean, Sanji from One Piece, that motherfucker smokes. And when he does, he looks so badass. And
It's just a thing you can do with your hands. Also, it's like, why does everyone look so cool in old movies? It's because they're fucking smoking, okay? And you know when like you have that horrible like impulse to like, oh, I can check the time on my phone or I can check my notifications. They don't have that because they would just take a sweet, refreshing drag off their cigarette.
yeah, and TV commercials at the time, which can't lie. So it must have been that like this, like the human biology changed sometime in the last couple of decades.
Yeah,
The
we
commercials
evolved
were-
too fast.
Yeah, it used to be that cigarette smoke invigorated your T-zone and caused you great power.
Yeah, and a guy in a lab coat would tell you this.
Yeah, so, in all which is to say, light guns kick ass because they take guns, one of the objectively coolest things ever, and removes the fatal flaw, which is that they actually exist and kill people a lot.
Yeah, the big flaw with guns is they do what they were designed to do.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's what I wish they were designed to do, is be props in movies. And there's a lot of movies where they pull that off so fucking good, dude. You seen John Wick, the famous one?
Yeah, that is evidence in the column that guns are cool.
They really are. They're so fucking cool. And here's, I think, we got to start. We can't start this conversation with anything but I think the granddaddy of all light guns, the NES Zappers. Did you have one of these Zappers growing up, Joe? I sure did.
Yes. Did you know that it came in a red color? I had a gray one. I was unaware that they ever came in a non-gray color.
I do know that they came in sort of like a reddish orange color. However, I didn't have it. I had the badass one that looked like a real gun, the much cooler one. I think they made it orange because people were like, this looks like a big fucking gun. This looks like you handed your kid a Magnum from Dirty Harry. And Nintendo, what they should have done is like, yeah, that's why it's fun. But they made it orange like cowards.
Yeah, they fucked up. The thing about the NES light gun is that it had a very satisfying spring sound that was very un-gun-like. I think that was also an element. There was, when you pull that trigger, it kind of reminds me of like when you start a pinball game, frankly. There's nothing like gun-like about it, but man, is it fun.
It's just, I was really hoping you would say something like that, because like the thing about the NES Sapper that makes light guns, that ignited a lifelong love of light guns in me, is that even if it's not plugged in, even if you don't have a video game turned on, even if you don't own a video game that uses the light gun, just pulling that fucking trigger is so fun. Because you hear the squeak of the springs, and then there's like a very satisfying like mechanical crunch to when you actually activate it. It feels like you've done something like important, and the triggers, like it's got that just the right amount of pushback to like make it feel significant. Like you're not just like waggling your finger like I'm just shooting as fast as I can, I don't care, like you're hitting right trigger on a fucking Xbox controller or what have you. It's like bam, oh, I did something.
It was the perfect object to idly pick up and just play with, even if it wasn't connected to anything.
It's so fucking cool. It's like a little gun, dude. It looks like a real gun.
And the technology was cool because we're going to go into sort of the evolution of light guns and how they've strayed from the path a little bit. But it didn't require an additional sensor. And the way they did this is every time you pulled the trigger, it would give you a little seizure. There would be a bright flash, and because of my understanding is that flash component allowed the gun to track position without needing some sort of sensor in the back.
Yeah, so here's my understanding of how it works, and I'm probably going to get it backwards, but close. And I'm not going to look it up because I don't care enough, and I know that even if I got it wrong, it'll be close enough. So what happens when you shoot the gun and you got a game going on, the screen will go all white. A big fucking white light bulb shooting out light for a split second, except for all of the shootable things that you are able to hit on the screen, which will be a little black area. And in the light gun, there is a sensor in like the barrel. And if the barrel is pointed at a black spot, it'll be like, damn, that means you hit it. Because it's taking a little picture.
That's really
like,
impressive. Like from a lo-fi. I mean, this is like late 80s stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah. And like you said, it gives you a big seizure. I may also be getting it backwards. It may be that the screen was black except for the lit up parts that you're supposed to shoot, but you get it. It kicked ass. Everyone knows Duck Hunt. That's like the killer app for the NES Zapper.
Duck Hunt, and then you ignore the clay pigeon game that sucks.
That game was fucked. I played that a few. Well, I didn't know about clay pigeons at the time, and also since then, I don't think they've ever come up. But like as a kid, I'm just like Duck Hunt. It's the fun cartoon game where you shoot ducks and they don't die. They just sort of look pissed off when the dog holds them up. Like this again,
and he strangles them non-fatally.
Yeah. And then there's like another mode where like little gray turds go into go 10 miles into the background and become unhittable.
Yeah.
I didn't play that one.
Yeah, that sucks. It doesn't have fun music either. But that wasn't the only light gun game. Can you tell me about, I believe you said there was a game called Gumshoe?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so here's my whole experience with the NES was that there was one when I was born. My brothers had the NES and they were in charge of, at the time, getting the games through hook or by crook. So they had like their collection of NES games. And by the time I was born, the NES was like not cool anymore. So the games that were available were the only ones that there were ever going to be. And growing up, it seemed like it was just like natural. Like every house is going to have an NES in these games. It's not weird. There's no such thing as a weird video game. They've always been here. And so Gumshoe, to me, as a kid, was like, this is a totally normal game that I like playing from time to time. I remembered it when we were talking about light guns, and I looked back on it, and this is the most fucked game. It makes no sense and is insane.
So you explained it as like, well, there's a gumshoe. It's not you. You're not the gumshoe. You're helping the gumshoe.
yeah. So there's a gumshoe, a detective, but he's not doing a case. What's happened is his daughter was kidnapped by a guy who's standing very far to the right, and you have to walk to him, at which point he'll be like, good job, here's your daughter back. But it's important to know that if that guy wasn't dealing with his kidnapping stuff, his job would be Gumshoe. But he's not doing that today because he's busy.
But he does have a trench coat, right?
Yes, he has a trench coat because he's a Gumshoe. And so, as you said, Joe, you don't actually play as the Gumshoe. The Gumshoe is a fucking moron. He can fly. Like, we'll learn soon that he has the ability to fly indefinitely, but he will never choose to do this himself. Instead, he is just so consumed with the need to walk to the right to save his daughter that is the only thing that he will ever do on his own. And in fact, he will do it constantly, which is to say, you turn on the Gumshoe game, the first level boots up, and your little Gumshoe man just immediately starts walking to the right at full speed and will never stop.
Yeah, and you have a gun, right?
Yeah, you're holding a gun. This is a gun game. This is a game for the NES Zapper only. So at this point, you might be wondering, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I guess maybe an obstacle will come at the Gumshoe and I'll have to shoot it. And then you start to see that there's like a little bottomless pit and some platforms coming up. And you're like, I sure hope the Gumshoe jumps on the platforms. And he just walks into the pit and dies. And that's when you start to realize, am I supposed to shoot the Gumshoe? Joe, the answer is yes.
You have to shoot his feet like Yosemite Sam style so he does platforming.
I mean, not even his feet. You just straight up shoot him. And like his whole body is the target. And when you shoot him, he jumps. And like I said, he has the ability to fly indefinitely. You can just keep shooting him and he'll never land. And And eventually, yes, there are obstacles, like there's bottles being thrown from off screen and like fucked up birds that try to dive bomb him and then falling rocks at some point that you have to shoot with the gun. But really, the main focus of the game is that this motherfucker won't stop walking to the right as fast as he can, and you have to keep shooting him in order to do, like, kind of like really difficult precision platforming, which is not easy when your only input option is, like, a gun.
Yeah, I didn't know about this one. I only had Hogan's Alley, which was, like... It just sucks. Like, it's basically a shootout building, but you're not shooting guys. Like, they're clearly cardboard cutout guys. Like, the game doesn't even give you the...
Yeah, it simulates training. What?
Yeah. At least Gumshoe teaches you how to solve cases.
Yeah, it tells you that if you want to win in
if you
life,
want to get your daughter back,
you got to shoot cops. You just have to shoot at cops all the time. Shoot them over and over. They like it. They want you to do it.
It gives them a evasion boost.
And okay, so I never got to the end of Gumshoe because it's insanely hard, obviously. Even if you do like the clear move that any person playing Gumshoe is going to do, which is you walk over to the TV and touch the screen with the gun.
So now you don't have a gun controller. Now you have a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, you just click on the guy. So even doing that, I never got to the end of it. But I watched a playthrough to remember the game, so I would like be able to talk about it. And you won't believe this, but like the final boss is like a huge dinosaur, and I'm wondering how there could be a boss because like this is an MFer who walks right. That's all he does. So what happens is, right before you get to the dinosaur, you go into a little phone booth and you pick up the phone, and there's a little cutscene where some text pops up that says, "You'll need this gun." And I'm like, wait, are you talking to me? I have a gun. No, he's talking to the Gumshoe. The Gumshoe comes out of the fucking telephone booth with his own gun. And I'm like, how come he has a gun now? I'm the one with the gun. And
you have to shoot him to make him shoot?
No, Joe. No, that would be cooler. The gun is for jumping only. When he gets to the dinosaur, he just starts shooting at random. He just goes pop, 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 pop. And you have to make him jump so that he lines up with the dinosaur's eye, which is its weak point.
This sucks. I don't like this. Wait, so the daughter is behind the dinosaur?
Yeah, there's a crime boss who says you need to collect 5 diamonds to get your daughter back. The diamonds are just like in the fucking on the ground. So like just walking to the right, you'll automatically get them. And people pointed out that like this crime boss like absolutely had the best day of his life because all he did was kidnap a girl, say, "Hey, bring me 5 diamonds, you can have her back." A guy shows up with 5 diamonds. He's like, "Okay, here you go." And then like the guy leaves. The crime boss just has pure profit for almost no effort.
This is a story of an enterprising individual.
Yeah. He's going to be like, well, now I know I'm going to kidnap a little girl every single day. This is the best possible income stream I could have ever had. There's so little overhead. Little girls are quite easy to overpower when you have a crime syndicate. And just got to get a Gumshoe who can fly when his friend shoots him. And they'll for sure be able to get the diamonds. And then I profit.
We already said, John Wick is proof that guns are cool. But like what you are describing is Gumshoe is you are the William Dafoe character. You are the sniper at a distance who is like getting him out of snafus.
Yeah. This is a Gumshoe. Your Gumshoe friend. You love him. You do anything for him. And you see that he's just like, I'm so determined. And he's about to walk into a bottomless pit. And you're like, God love him, this idiot's going to walk into the pit. I know he will. And so you just have to shoot him. You have to shoot.
Just a little, like, for pep.
Yeah. And the fun thing is that I found out that it was directed and designed by Yoshio Sakamoto, who you may recognize as the designer of Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion and the upcoming Metroid Dread. So if Metroid Dread comes out and you like it...
It's because of Gumshoe.
Yeah, it came from Gumshoe.
Or Gumshoe sort of tanked all the bad ideas. Like, he got all of the shitty ideas out. in one
like,
go.
all
He's like,
right.
now I'm thinking about bounty hunters and the jellyfish, and I have a vision.
Yes. So the NES Zapper, cool fucking piece of equipment to hold in your hand. You pull that thing, you feel so fulfilled, and also it makes a big sound like on the TV, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like even with Duck Hunt, like the missing felt like you shot a gun.
Yeah, it goes like whoosh.
Yeah.
It kicks ass. So that we love that, but there's really not a lot to it. There weren't very many games for it. Now, Joe, there was another light gun that I never played with, but you have some experience with. Can you enlighten us?
Yeah. So I had the Super Nintendo's Super Scope, which was also the first big purchase I remember saving up for as a kid. Like the first time I had I had a bunch of singles that I got from doing shit, and it was like kept in a little box in my closet. And it's like, when I have this many, this is a Super Scope.
Did you also have to do the thing where you like realized as you were 3/4 of the way there that there was sales tax and you had to up the total that you were saving for?
No, I am no fool. I will never be tricked.
I was tricked every time I was saving for something. Anyway, continue.
So I bought it, and what the Super Scope is it's a light gun, but unlike the Zapper, which is styled after a cool pistol,
That you can hold sideways even if you wanted to be really cool, which I did.
Yeah, the Super Scope is a bazooka, which rests on your shoulder. So, like, at first glance, you're like, this is the coolest toy ever because it's a bazooka that works with my Super Nintendo. And then not only that, but there are specific Mario-themed integration games that use the bazooka. So, like, everything at first blush seems pretty rad. But here's the fucking problem. This thing took, like, 100 batteries. Like, it's just a lot of fucking batteries. And if you, like, didn't remember to turn it off, which I never did, they died in a second.
Oh, no.
They died in a second. The other issue with the Super Scope is it's not fun to fiddle with. Like, okay, like, in between duck hunts, by which I mean, like, in between rounds of shooting ducks, you can, like, twirl the gun or, like, pretend to blow smoke out of it after you just killed a duck. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's stupid shit. A bazooka is a tube that sits on your arm. Like the wow factor of the bazooka is that it shoots an RPG and like a helicopter goes away. So like when it's just a plastic tube, it's not fun. Like it's not a fun toy.
It's like if you have a roll of like wrapping paper, like the cardboard roll that the wrapping paper comes on.
It's the same.
It's like the thing is, if you're gonna make that a toy weapon, it's gonna be a sword 100 times out of 100. Anyone who's like, look, I'm using a bazooka and puts it on their shoulder is gonna get wedgied, rightfully, because it's not cool.
Right. The games were cooler though. There was a lot of interesting sort of light gun game evolution. One of the weirdest ones was this game called Yoshi Safari.
I thought I could not believe this shit. I looked this up and I'm like, this is real?
Yeah, it's real. Basically, the entire premise of Yoshi Safari is like Super Mario World was fun. It's basically the same thing, but it's a rail shooter, and Mario has a bazooka. He's on the back of Yoshi, and he mows down the enemies and the Koopa kids as well. Like it's like literally the bosses from Super Mario World. It's a rail shooter. It's very strange because Yoshi's head is there the whole time. So like you have this game where like imagine you're a cowboy, and like the game is just like, if you want, you can just shoot him in the back of the head, the horse, just whatever you want. And you can. And what happens is Yoshi gets a boo-boo. He gets a Band-Aid, and he looks at you kind of upset.
Like, man, aren't we on the same team? I watched some gameplay of this. And the sort of opening cutscene where it explains to Mario that he has to go through X amount of levels to save whoever is hilarious. Because Peach is like, my friend, who's another princess, is in danger. Mario needed to go save her, and Mario's like, I sure will. I'm going to take my pal Yoshi, and we were definitely going to go do that. That's not in question. That is definitely happening right now. And the entire time, Mario is holding the Super Scope in this fucking cutscene, and it's not mentioned.
As if he's always had it. Like Mario, famous Italian, a plumber who carries ordnance with him at all times. It's really cool. The other aspect of the game that I thought was interesting, which I now understand is sort of an artifact from the 16-bit era, is that this sounds really dumb, but there's a really good sense of speed as you're riding Yoshi, and it's the same sense of speed you get from the F-Zero for the Super Nintendo, and that's because like the ground is like fucked up and you're going over it very quickly.
Yeah. I know when it's like there's like the they've like projected a texture onto the ground and it like is moving in like as like a 3D object.
Yeah, it's like parallax, but you're like standing in the wrong place or something. Mario Kart had this as well, like the original Mario Kart. But what's really fucking stupid about this game is the levels are cool because you're riding Yoshi through various environments, but like all the boss fights, you just stand there.
So okay, I want to tell I can't let this go by because this is very funny. I saw this on our little outline and I fucking hawed out loud because when you wrote down this Yoshi Safari shit ages ago, you have a little part that's like it had great boss design, and then parentheses need to look up later, and then the next point is I looked up the bosses. They suck ass.
Yeah, they're really bad. I don't know why I thought they were good. Well, I think I was impressed by the concept of bosses having phases. I think that's what actually impressed me as a kid. No, all the bosses are the same. They're usually like a Koopa Kid in a like tank or something, and then as you shoot it, it comes apart and like becomes smaller, and phases change.
That is true though. Phases and boss fights kick ass. And if that was the first time you saw them, I understand. We should do a fucking episode about bosses with phases.
Yes, that would actually be really good. I guess I was impressed by phases in a light gun setting because, and this is I think a perfect transition to the next topic. It's the majority of my light gun experience, even though I had a zapper and a super scope, it's like movie theater shit.
Yeah, Time Crisis and what have you, and House of the Dead.
Correct.
That kind of shit.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I remember being 16 and having, like, a bunch of, built up horny men, bad stuff.
Mm-hmm. Just a hormone-y boy.
Yeah, and, like, I immediately think of, like, movie theaters and, like, being in a lobby and, like, making small talk with someone you have a crush on as part of a larger group. And I bring this all up because in every single one of those scenarios, there was light gun shit in the back, like amplifying power.
Yeah, and like when you see a Time Crisis cabinet that's just like doing the demo, it's impossible to not have like at least 25% of your attention taken up by it, and the sort of lingering thought of like, I could play Time Crisis.
It's like only 50 cents, like whatever.
Joe, I gotta say that that little tableau you've painted is wild to me because it forces one to consider the possibility that you are technically allowed to hang out with a girl at some point between ages of 13 and 17, which I gotta tell you, I was convinced that was not the case. And I acted accordingly.
Yeah.
I wonder if I would have behaved differently had I known.
You might have had more light gun experience.
Oh, hell, okay. So I definitely should have done it. What a waste of my time.
Yeah. House of the Dead was, I would say, a staple. House of the Dead is fun because, like, the dialogue sucks. Like, it's they lean into it now, and in the preceding House of the Dead games, they've sort of embraced the B-movie sort of grindhouse aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that first House of the Dead, that just sucked. Like, I mean, like the people saying those words were doing their best.
Yeah. Here's a funny story about House of the Dead that you might like. So one time I was in North Carolina for a wedding. One of my wife's good friends was getting married. And I was invited to the bachelor party because I had nowhere else to go. She was in the bridal party. And I was just invited, like, hey, you can come along with us. And one of the things we were going to do is we were going to go to an arcade bar. You know, the famous kind, back before there was the virus. And so we drove there, and another guy in the car showed the groom a snuff film on his phone, and everyone in the car got very solemn, and the groom looked at him with this look of, like, terror and fear, and was like, why are you showing me this? And then he put his phone away, and we went to the arcade bar, and I played House of the Dead with one of the guys. It was fun.
Yeah. So a good vibe centering experience going into the arcade. Yeah, do you mind if I fuck this evening up, everyone in this car? Can I just play something?
It was one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever heard of. I thought that guy was like a cop or like a military guy, because he's a terrifying guy who introduced death and violence into a fun
Unprovoked.
And also he was sort of big and square and had a buzz cut. But then I later learned that he does landscaping. He just is like that. Anyway, that's not important. Shit. What about those? I'm thinking about those fucking hunting games, like where you had to like shoot a deer.
Oh, like big buck hunting.
Yeah. I've seen that. Like I'm. You see them enough that I know about it, but I can't recall like physically what the cabinet looked like. It had to be a light gun game, right?
It is a gun. But it's not a light gun game, because those gun games are actually a type of golden tea.
Yeah, they're for dads only.
They're for dads only. They only show up in like a bar where there's only that machine in the corner.
Yeah. Oh. Before we get off the fucking movie theater shit, I just need to say, I need to make this clear. If you are ever in a movie theater, if you ever were in a movie theater or arcade, and it was possible to play Time Crisis, and you instead chose to play one of those light gun games where you play as a cop and you're like doing a drug bust, shooting drug dealers dead, you're not allowed to be friends with us anymore. That's narc behavior. Like, that's comp behavior, because you're a cop and you're killing.
Well, what was the crisis in Time Crisis?
It was
though?
Time, dude. Like, I don't know. It was like, dude.
Or were they late?
They were late. Fucking late. Yeah, they were late. It was like, you know, being late, and you had to shoot everyone who was trying to like give you a pamphlet because you were gonna stop and read it to be polite.
Oh, I remember now. It's two guys on a date. Their reservation's at 7.
Joe, tell me about Point Blank. You told me about Point Blank. That shit sounds wild. I don't know what that is.
Okay, so we had the Super Scope issue, which was that it was not a pistol, had too many batteries, and then the next system I had that had a light gun option was the PlayStation, the first PlayStation.
I did not know that they had a light gun for that.
It looks fucking good as hell. You should look it up. It has it's the perfect combination of like, it's a pistol, but like also there's enough like, this is a space gun, right?
Fuck. Dude, this is like Rick Deckard's gun from Blade Runner. I'm looking at it right now. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
Why
great.
did I have an N64? I'm a fucking moron.
Yeah, N64 had no light gun anything. Like, there was no gun. But that's neither here nor there. So this Point Blank, these games are great. You didn't know about these. These games...
Yeah. When you said Point Blank, what I thought it was going to be, based on the name, it's like a gritty and gory, like fucking mafia violence action thriller with lots of, like, dingy alleys and, like, bloody executions.
No. So what Point Blank is, it stars Dr. Don and Dr. Dan, who are two guys that are wearing, like, safari get-ups.
They're little minions. They're like pre-minions. They're like minion Muppets.
Yeah, a lot of people
They're
are
Bert
like...
and Ernie's.
Yeah, see, a lot of people think these are just a Bert and Ernie with guns, but that's not true, because Dr. Dan is clearly a Mayor McCheese.
Yeah, no, okay, I get you.
So the game is basically, think WarioWare, but a bunch of light gun games that are like 30 seconds or less. They're very fun, and how it works with 2 players is it's like you have to try to win X number of games, and in between rounds, the losing player is picking the game you're going to do next very quickly. So there's just like a very fast sort of urgency to get through these games, and they're very fun, and they're not like violent at all. Like, you mostly just shoot like pots or like birds that are made out of clay, not like clay pigeons. I mean like actual birds that flap and then they explode.
So Joe, the mini game that you gave me a link to check it out is, so it's wild. So what you get is you have a digital clock showing you a time in the top, so like 6:25 or what have you, and then 6 little alarm clocks, with the bells on the top, pop up, and they all have different times on them with analog faces, and you have to shoot the one that says 6:25. And when you explained this game to me, I thought to myself, this game's easy as fuck. Baby mode.
No.
When I watched the video,
No.
I was like, when the 6 clocks came up, I just started crying. I'm just like, I'll never find out. Like, it could be any one of these clocks.
Yeah, and you have to do this as quickly as possible. That's the game. They have a few of those brain teaser games in every Point Blank that when they come up, you're like, fuck. There's also one that isn't a brain teaser but always stressed me out. It was a Zen like garden, and there was like basically a tall bonsai like tree, and then you and the other player wait, and you each have one bullet, and a single leaf will flutter down, and yeah, you hit it, you win. You both can lose.
Holy shit! Oh god. Okay, so this kicks. I'm so happy about Point Blank. I wish I had played it, and I wish I'd had the gun, because this is something that I'm so interested in. I wish there was more of this kind of game. And Gumshoe had the idea, but the problem was it was shitty. Which is, I want there to be light gun games that aren't like where you're not shooting a gun in the game.
Yes.
Where it's not about like shooting targets with the gun, where like the gun is just the input device for some other thing, and it just so happens that you use a gun because it's the funnest fucking thing to hold and shoot. Obviously, there would need to be a very satisfying trigger for this to be pulled off. But like, imagine a Harvest Moon, where like to make your guy like walk to a certain place, you shoot it, and then like when you want him to harvest the turnips, you have to like shoot the turnips, and like if you have a lot of turnips, you have to like equip your machine gun and go like da 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 da. He's getting the turnips really fast. Like, think of how fun that would be. Point Blank seems like it has that sort of DNA in it.
Yeah, like the Point Blank world is filled with a bunch of really colorful, stupid objects, and I think it would lend itself to that. Like, I don't know, you could do a fishing game where you have a spear gun, or you could just throw dynamite. That's fun too.
Yeah. Or like it's yeah.
The problem is those games never got made because when you spend the dollars to get a peripheral that's a gun, you want a gun.
Yeah, you want it to be like shoot, gun, shoot.
Like,
We need, what would be really good is a fucking light gun RPG where like it's magic, but also it's a rhythm game, and you have to shoot in the rhythm, because like the wizard is like casting spells at you like based on like 5/4 time, and you have to like fucking figure out how that works while you're shooting. That would be fun. And like maybe you don't even shoot, you just shoot the menu. Like you shoot the menu to like get your spells. And like maybe no, the words definitely like change in size to the beats. Like if you want to hit magic, you have to like hit it on the 2 and 4, because like that's when it's big.
Yeah, I was thinking just like a Final Fantasy VI menu with the words throbbing sort of like in beat. I was also thinking like the way you could stop attacks is like if it's the first person sort of view, like we're doing like a Dragon Quest JRPG fight. We could like steal the idea from Fate, where it's like you shut down the enemy's magic channels as they try to cast spells.
Oh yeah, fuck, dude. This case, like the light gun games are so fun. There's so much untapped potential. And here's another thing that sucks ass, which is all these games that have peripherals, like Rock Band is one of them. It's Rock Band instruments aren't as cool as guns, but like to a lesser extent. like whenever you need a peripheral for a game, it makes playing it later so fucking impossible. Like I could get an emulator and download point blank games, but I have to play them with a mouse. Yuck. I don't feel anything when I click a mouse button. When I pull a trigger of a gun, I feel like I've become God because my second dick has caused the world to change.
So I wasn't able to get a light gun hooked up, but I was able to use the infrared sensor from like the original Wii to make the Wii Mote work for like MAME shit. I did that once, and that's better than a mouse, but it's still not a light gun.
Yeah, that's okay. So that was something I wanted to talk about. Is sort of the modern evolution of light guns and how they've lost their way. The Wii pointer for them, the Wiimote, is sort of like, oh, it's like a light gun built into the main controller, right? No, not at all.
And there was a game I played a lot on the Wii that was just a light gun game. It was called Ghost Squad. It sucked ass.
Yeah.
I liked it for the same reason I liked House of the Dead, which is the writing is very bad. I think my favorite part is like there's a boss fight where you're on a boat and like a big guy with a big metal shield comes, and then like you get a call from the boss and he's like, "I give you permission to use grenades." And then you have grenade launchers suddenly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've played the Ghost Squad cabinet game at like a fucking Disney Quest when that was a thing, and it was just as bad, but it was so much better.
The problem is that a good light gun needs to have a chunky, crunchy trigger where pulling it feels like you've really taken a life. Like you
Yes.
had to make a big decision to pull it. And the B button on the Wiimote is like, meh, 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 meh. It's like, it feels like nothing to push.
It's a hesitant murder.
Yeah. And like as a result, you don't feel any power in what you're doing. Like I had Sin and Punishment for the Wii, which is like a light gun shoot 'em up game, but it's like one of those fucking shmup games where it's every shot does like 1 damage and everything takes 100 damage to kill. So like shooting something once is like nothing. It's like you sneezed at it.
It's about sustaining aim on it.
Yeah. It's no fun. I don't feel any power in the gun. Whereas, like, in fucking Gumshoe, I shoot the guy. He jumps pretty far. I feel like I've done something important. And, like, there was the Lynx crossbow training, like, gun, fucking, like, cradle that you would put it in that would supposedly make it feel more like a gun. And I think we got, for one of the Resident Evil shooting gallery games in college, we got an aftermarket cradle where you would put the Wiimote in the top and it looked like a gun, but it just wasn't the same. You can't fake the intention that is required to make the trigger pull feel good. And the Wii just didn't have it.
I'm looking at the PlayStation 1 Gun Con again.
So
and like
good, dude.
This is it. I forgot that it was called the Gun Con. That's a good name.
Yeah. Gun Con for Gun Kata. For killing guys with guns. It's so, like, I'm just looking at, like, there's different colors. You can get it gray or black or blue. So badass. And then, I don't know. Joe, would you consider VR to be the modern light gun?
I don't know. I could go both ways on that. And one of the reasons I would say it is the modern light gun is because a huge part of a light gun is that growing up, you'd go over to someone's house and you'd see they had a light gun. And you're like, damn, I want that. Well, Kevin came over and we played VR, and I was like, damn, that's pretty sweet. Yeah. So in that way, it is very much like a light gun.
Yeah, it's a toy that only certain kids have, and you need to go over to their house to play it. I'm with you there, but here's my counterexample. Part of what makes a light gun so cool is that when you're really going nutty with it, when you're popping off shots and holding it sideways and hitting every single one, no misses, only hits, you want people to be able to look at what you're doing and immediately understand, oh shit, that guy's going nutty with that gun. Because like guns are badass. Awesome. That's like, yeah, it's like the awesomest thing you could do is go nutty with a gun. Again, we wish they were fictional. When people
Yeah.
go nutty
Oh,
with their
man.
gun in real life, it's not cool.
No,
But-
it's not. It's absolutely not. I want to be so clear about this.
You want people to see you going nutty at point blank and be like, wow, great job. When you see someone playing a VR game and they're doing an excellent job, it just kind of looks like they're wiggling. You don't know.
Well, you can't even really cheer them on because even if you're 90% like, yeah, go VR guy, 10% of you is worried about them tripping. Like, that won't stop.
Mm-hmm. And like, even if you were to like stream to another screen, like what the person playing is seeing, so you can sort of like see along.
Yeah, that's how we did it, and that's fun. But
there's like a time delay. There's like a couple of seconds delay between what the person is doing and what you're seeing on the streamed screen. So like, it ends up with like them just sort of like wiggling around, and it's completely divorced from what you're actually seeing. Whereas with a fucking light gun, you see someone hold a cool looking gun out called a gun con. They turn it sideways. You go, ooh, cool. They pull the trigger, it makes a sound, and then you immediately see that they've hit the target on the TV, and you're like, damn.
yeah, and then it says victory, and then the status screen from Point Blank plays, and if you are not familiar, Tom, it's it reminds me of the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 thing where it's like going to take you for a ride, and it's like it slowly like wears away your sanity. It is very much like that. And
What an era for music.
yeah,
I'm gonna put it in now.
yeah. I feel the problem with it is that like Scatman was still like not embarrassing, so there's a little bit of that in the composition.
Oh, fuck. God. Light guns are so cool. I wish that you could have them now. They need to make like a PS5 light gun. It needs to like weigh 5 pounds.
It can't have too much heft because like, did you ever play Silent Scope?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, Silent Scope was a arcade game where you had a sniper, and like how it worked is you had to shoot other snipers using the actual scope. Like the scope was another screen that magnified what was on the screen.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The issue with Silent Scope is that you're gonna get pink eye. Like, I'm sorry, but like any place Silent Scope is, there's like 100 kids putting their eye right on the thing. You're fucked. The other thing that was really like, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s about it is that you could get health back by looking through windows at babes.
Are you fucking kidding?
No, I'm not. Like that's
So
how you
dumb.
get. Yeah. That's Silent Scope.
Okay, so this is not a light gun game, but one of the games that was just in the stack of NES games I had was Golgo 13, and I didn't know till decades later that Golgo 13 is a long-running, hard-boiled Private Eye manga. Or maybe a Private Eye, or maybe he's a secret agent. He's like a badass action guy who drinks, smokes, and fucks.
Oh, he's an assassin, is what he is. He's like a hitman.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But Golgo 13, the video game. And this game was very... I played it a bunch. I didn't get very far. I never really understood what it was asking of me, and it was not very fun. One of the things that wasn't fun about it is that your health is constantly going down, just like a clock. I guess it's just age. Like you know, even if you're not getting shot, your health is just always going down. And the end of one of the levels, you go into a building, and you go up to a room, and a girl is there, and there's a silhouette of you and her embracing in the window, and then you both sort of go underneath the window where you can't see, and then your health goes all the way up to full. And as a kid, I was like, no idea what this means, but I'm glad to have my health back, and went on with level 2. And looking back on it,
They were having dinner on the ground.
yeah, they were playing checkers. They were playing Crokinole, dude. Crokinole kicks ass.
Oh, I see. So the light gun connection is that you want a game to play with your dexterous little boy hands.
Shit, I didn't even consider the Crokinole connection. Oh,
Okay.
fuck. Because, yeah, Crokinole is a board game where you just flick little discs at other little discs. It's light gun. And it makes a clacking sound, just like the NES Zapper. Holy shit.
It's also,
oh, my God.
Also, the skill is evident by anyone watching, right? So when you flick a disc right, everyone can clearly see that you've done well.
Oh my God. And it's a big, hefty component. Holy shit. Like, this is... Okay, listeners, there's not a lot of, like, unplanned revelations on this episode. So we fucking outlined these. This is off the dome. I can't believe that this connection was made. Oh my God.
Yeah, you want, like, a gun to twirl or some sort of, like, cool thing to do with your hands. And why? Because you... won't
I'm a
smoke.
human being, man.
You won't smoke.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and of course, smoking also protects you from COVID.
Yeah, it coats your lung with a protective tar.
That's why the menthol ban was so short-sighted with the pandemic going on. Oh, no.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos, everybody. I've been Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
Light guns kick ass. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at Sharia Uncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.